Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in the right hand corner. Muchly appreciated. Thank you to all my subscribers. Um, I appreciate your support. Share it with your friends and families as well. If you come across the channel, please do not leave without subscribing and hitting the likes. Helps the growth of this channel as we've built an integral Habs channel here, and we stand by that. We don't get in broadcasting a lot of rumors. We kind of avoid that. Some like to pump up a bunch of jam, and there'd be tons of news of rumors, and we just don't do that. We wait till the factual information breaks. There's lots of sources that come up with news, but until in reality, rather not, because you see so many times rumors end up being nothing but that. But some channels thrive off that. And oddly enough, get support. It baffles my brain. It just tells me evidently some people just like a lot of hype. Anywho, here we stick to keeping it integral. Quick ad here on behalf of or contracting. Where it's summertime, a lot of renovations you may have on your list. Decks, homes, roofing, masonry, landscaping. They cover all of these different types of work. And give the owner a call, Glenn Thomas. It's on the front page of my cover page. And I know the gentleman quite well, and he's an honest, hardworking man. And so the company, the workers that work for them, they do reasonable rates, quite high quality work. So give them a shout. Just use user code Andrew. All right, let's get to it. This is the our evaluation of the 2025 draft. As we know, all that went down, our two first picks, which this went. We knew there was names flying around. This happened to be the name, as I reported on Friday when the trade broke. Um, that was kind of the name that I was kind of hoping Montreal would go with, because the assessment of the two draft picks, the first rounders, there's too much of a hit and miss, and so for me, I was hoping they were going to utilize those and trade for an established NHL player, which they did. And funny enough, they actually, there was, between the name that came up for defenseman, that was the defenseman I was kind of hoping they would go with, where he was already right sided defenseman. And even though I liked Tag and liked his physicality probably more, unfortunately, he was left-sided, and that just would have created more problems. So I was glad they went with Noah Dobson. He fits the age group. Whereas when you get that far down in the 16, I think after the top 10, there's no guarantees. And you lose a lot of the qualities, and we weren't going to get above into the top 10 where we would have wanted to. And still, a lot of those, you get some of those players who still wouldn't be ready for 2 years. So we needed immediate impact. And you can definitely tell that Hugo thought the same way. And I was very pleased with the trade. So our first, that basically is categorized to me as our first round pick ends up being Noah Dobson with the two drafts and Emil Heineman. So total commend. I'm totally 100% behind that. Excited about it. It really shores up the defense, solidifies it for a long time down the road. Now, I think he's only 25, and yeah, you've seen 9.5, I believe, was his salary he was given for 8 years. Um, Excellent. I think this is a great 1-2 punch. I'm looking at him and Lane Hudson, or him and Caden Gooley, as being the pairing that will result for a long time coming. I think they're going to be very impactful. This gives us, good, solid three players for sure, and then you got Jack Eye, in the third pairing. Just a matter of how that finishes. He'll be fine to with Matheson and Carrier uh, being in that, however that rotation goes in the end of it all. So one of them will probably fall with partnering up, and it might be Carrier who should probably partner up with Jack Guy. That might work out well, actually. So now the question becomes: so that was I totally commend that first pick. As I said Friday in the trade, I was very pleased. So to me, instead of having two picks that you don't even know if they're going to pan out, Montreal made the right choice, got an established NHLer, and he wanted to be in Montreal. He made that clear. And he took a bit of a cut to do that. So good to see. So then we go on to the second round uh, through seven. And some of the picks, let's just discuss them. Zawarski ended up being our second rounder. We traded up for that to 34, and that was quite a nicely, again, nice work. I think we give away two later draft picks, and to get this one, and we had tons of picks, and we knew Montreal's already quite stacked in prospect field, so we didn't want to have too much of a logjam, so they utilized those by packaging. You could tell a lot of the drafts going for one, and that was wise, very wise on Kent Hughes's part. So we end up getting 34th, which was top of the second round, and that was great. Alexander Zarowski, and 6'1", 163 pounds, and we come to find out that this was kind of a guy they were looking at probably for the first round, even though he fell to the second. And we end up finding out this was kind of one of their guys, and he was actually played a friend of Demidov, so they've had some time together. So this could be something that we see down the road. So I think this is a great trade, and he's supposed to be super talented. So seeing his highlight reels, he seems to have nice soft hands, good size, healthy size anyway. So like that maneuver. Then we went to the third round. We did the same thing, trading off a couple of draft picks and I believe this was to Boston, I think. Anyway, so this one here, so I grade the second round pick for us, Zarowski, as an A as well. Um, and then we go to third, Hayden. I'm going to probably butcher this name. Papa Pijanic, whatever. Yeah, very difficult name. He's a center, 6'5", big boy. Kind of plays a good defensive role. They look at this guy as possibly the future fourth liner, tough as nails. This is a good signing, a good pick for us because we've got to size up. So this was a good move, I thought, as well. So for the third rounder with Pulpa Pichin, whatever his name is. Again, I know I'm butchering his name. Center, 6'5". I like this draft at the size level as we need to get larger. So I rate that as another A. Um, Looking at the next drafts that came in, we had Bryce Pickford, defenseman, seems to have a good write up, and so there's kind of, I give it an A. I believe he's a right-sided defenseman. And then there was Arseni at 82, 81 and 82 for the Habs. And Arseni Radkov, a goaltender from Russia. It never hurts to have too many goaltenders, and I think especially where we're in a bit of a situation where we've had Hughes go back to Europe, and I think you may be seeing Primo moved out as he's ran his course, in my opinion. I think he would probably want to continue with another organization. So not knowing for sure what the Habs are doing on that, I think they're just solidifying, giving more opportunities so that their goaltending will be shored up in the future in case there are some hits and misses. I know we're all pumped about Fowler, but be careful until someone transitions to NHL level. I love Fowler too, but remember, Primo had that type of um, hype as well, and it didn't pan out. So we got to be careful. So I think they're doing wise thing with getting the more and more goaltenders you get. You're going to hit one or two of them. We got a I like Dobish, and got a all right system with Monty and Dobish and Fowler. We'll see what happens, and all of these youngsters. But seeing them add a couple goaltenders is kind of a pretty good move when you get goaltenders moving out of the system that had their chance. So like that one as well. I'm gonna give that another A as well. Just that they're thinking. Then we get one at 113 in the fourth round. John Mooney. This one's here is I'm kind of on the fence with this one. Um, Due to the height of this player, I do not believe, and I've continued to say this, that I know why they shot at him because he had a lot of talent. So I got no problem with that. That's great. Who knows? Maybe he unseats somebody. I don't know. But I think we better be careful at the same token, unless he becomes super, super better than Cole Caulfield, basically. And I don't foresee that. However, it doesn't hurt to give him a shake. He's 5'7", so he's fairly small, John Mooney, but they say he's really talented. So I still give him an A. I just not all that high on these small players. Then we get in the fifth round, 145, Alexei Korn, Cornoye, Connick, Cornway or something like that. Goaltender anyway. Again, another second goaltender and half decent size and out of the Quebec majors, juniors. And that doesn't hurt. Like I say, I think they're replenishing their goaltending situation just to make sure they get a hit or so. So I'm going to give that an A as well. Sixth round, 197th was Carlos Handel, 6'1" defenseman again. Right side that you can see they're stacking up the right side of defense. I think that's a great move. Seems to have a good write up again. So I give that an A. And then we get 189. Andrew McNeil, defenseman again, right side. So that's a good pick. A again. I think they're doing a great job building up those right-sided defensemen. Seventh was another defenseman, Maxim Vig, and our final seventh round draft pick, Carlos Handel and Andrew McNeil were both sixth rounders. Cornway was fifth. So we seem to pick fairly well in the draft. Guys with good write ups, good character. Now, the only thing is, that's great in our choices, and there seemed to be a lot of homework done. Um, Now, whether they all pan out, that becomes another rating, is something you look at 2 or 3 years down the road. But good choices, like everybody else, you're taking shots, but they seem to have some players in there like Sarowski, I think will be an NHLer for sure. And I like the fact that he's been with Demidov. So good job overall on day two as well. And good to see them maneuver and, dump a couple draft picks to move up higher and get a 2-for-1 and get the guy, a better guy that you were looking at. And that was wise. It just looked like very well done homework by the Habs. So overall, I stick to giving this draft an A, and that first round was huge. The thinking that they made on that maneuver, that was just a mind blowing trade, and with those two first rounders. But I even like the follow through with the few. They made 2 or 3 trades during this second round onward, and utilized, knowing that they had enough prospects in the system. You can't pay all these guys, so they were giving up a lot of 2-for-1s. It's did the same thing with you know, as we all know that we end up finding out the story even more so, but doing a lot of 2-for-1s so that you don't get too much of a logjam in prospects. Now let's get back to the trade, which we all loved. I'm 100% behind this because this is really kind of solidifying our defense cores, kind of puts fixes the hole that was there, and gives Mayu and Rybacker some time to develop so that they're not rushing them. If one of them cracks the lineup, that's great, but if not, this buys them time as well. And one of them will eventually crack the lineup. We know this. This puts, we still have the two veterans, and that's good because you need veterans. I think that's part of the learning process. Having Mike Matheson and Carrier, I think, is a good thing uh, to be able to teach these younger players. I do think that naming those two, they will be expendable at some point and be kind of pushed into the bottom pairings. They will end up moving back. However, what happens? I mean, you definitely got to keep at least one veteran for sure. I think you're wise to keep the two of them. However, with the logjam and to get the second line center, because I don't think we can count ourselves off the hook and make excuses. No, you don't want to rush it, but we're in dire straits for that second line center. Period. Um, Again, I'm sure we can throw something together. I think you got guys like Struble. I hate to say this, that you could throw in a package because he's just not consistent enough. You got Jack Guy who brings you that edge and has the consistency on that. He just got to get better at positional, and he's got the time to do so. I think guys like Struble, they're just not going to be able to withstand that. And what's going to happen? Do you utilize Mike Matheson because there's interest from Edmonton there? The word is supposedly uh, coming from Friedman, and we all knew that there was interest there even before trade deadline. So maybe that makes him expendable to get that second line center. I mean, I know they're looking at Kyrou. That seems to be the big next one punch we're waiting for is the second line center, and he's played some center, but he's been on the wing for the Blues more so. So I think I like Kyrou. Tell you the truth, that I don't mind that at all. But I do think it's necessary it be a center. Don't use the excuses. I don't want to see us rush and make a mistake. But you got enough talent within our system to throw a package together that will work. Let's also open up that trade, which the information came out from Pierre LeBrun afterwards, that there was actually the actual trade before it went through the night before. It had the first 2 round draft picks and Owen Beck, and they offered up Owen Beck, and in place of him, if the Islanders weren't happy with Beck, they also offered up Waugh, but the Islanders didn't want either of those two players, which I kind of thought they had handpicked. They liked Heineman. When you look at the prospects, Heineman was the only one who showed the solid signs. He made the team and brought us red up front. Now that's going to be hard as hell to replace. Thank God um, he's was deeper in the lineup. But I do think we're going to miss him, and we're going to have to replace him. I do think I like knowing that they valued Montreal valued Heineman, but you had to give up something in order to make that trade. So the news comes out that the Islanders demanded Heineman after Montreal offered Beck and also had offered Waugh, and the Islanders had no interest in either of those players. And I'll be quite frank, I can see why. I can see Darch evidently he's got a good look insight into the players, and I think like everybody else who's seen how well Heineman played and how strong he was on the forecheck, hard hitting, big shot. We had to give up something, so that's gonna hurt. I mean, I'd love to see us at some point throw 2 or 3 players that we know we're not going to be able to use, like a Farrell, Waugh, and Beck, and try to get Heineman back. That's just my thoughts. But however, I'm sure that we can throw something together to get that second line center. And I think it's more important to be a second line center than a winger. I know they're mentioning winger to give it kind of an excuse way out. We will have to address that at some point as well, the winger, but I think it's more necessity that we get a second line center. But I do like the idea with Pierre LeBrun say they're still turning the wheels on a deal with St. Louis for Cairo. So maybe Matheson's what they're looking for. Maybe it's something too. We've heard Nugent Hopkins' name come up in because of Edmonton's interest in Matheson. So maybe Matheson, is it going to be in a package? Maybe it's like a Matheson Struble type of thing, and that would kind of get the logjam out of the way a bit. But we'll see. We'll see. We can only wait and see. And during this free agency, I'm sure that there'll be a couple extra players too, because we don't know what's going on with Armia, which I'd like to see them re-sign him. I think he still holds a lot of value with his strong play on the puck. Hard to get him off the puck. He does well, plays well in the playoffs, um, and his penalty killing is just outstanding. So I'd like to see him and Evans at least together, and then it's just a matter of maybe finding someone in free agency who can take Heineman's place. Because I do not believe for 1 minute, other than Kapanen, I think Kapanen, if there's anybody in Laval that's ready in the forward group, he's the only guy I see ready. I do not see anybody else ready to make that jump. So with that said, thank you for watching. Go Habs go. Very excited. Congratulations to Montreal Canadiens. Great draft and great work by Hughes and Gordon. And I hope they continue. And although as long as they realize, and let's not look for excuses, we need that second line center, especially if they're serious about, teams are going to take Montreal serious now after us making the playoffs. So we got to improve that team, especially up front now. We got the back end coming along nicely, and we will be able to take steps forward if we get that second line center. And that would make such a difference. That would actually make us a threat. So thank you for watching. I was completely my total overall, like I said, for the 2025. Although I did want to comment on this. Um, my thoughts on the teams, not, the management team and the scouts not being at the draft. I think it was a total flop. Gary Bettman overspill galore. Um, Breakdowns in the communication of the players walking into rooms to talk to their GMs. And it was pathetic. This was a total flop, a disgrace. If you do not realize that this totally flopped, that's why the NHL needs to stick to its own routine. This did not pan out. It was actually quite boring, to be quite frank. This was one of the first drafts I was extremely bored. Didn't like the method of what was going on. I mean, Boston's pick, it froze. This is pathetic. We're not the NFL. Love the NFL, but we are two different sports, and this is what makes the NHL special. Seeing those tables, trade deals being done at tables, it makes a difference. It gets the hype up. So, on that, I say, Bettman and NHL, wake up, because this was totally a disgrace. As far as I was concerned, I had a hard time watching this. I really did. We need to get back to what we were doing in the drafts. Let There's not killing them, bringing the GMs and scouts once a year to a draft. They got the money. That's like pennies. So Bettman, the fans don't want to see you. They want to see the organizations. We want to see the players uh, get the jersey on and meet their GMs and scouts that pick them. The announcements. That's what we want to see. We like that as fans of hockey. Give it back to us. And boy, man, the it's like you wanted all the spotlight, Gary. Enough. So anyway, great job, Habs. Let's hope we get the drafts back to teams being present. And thank you for watching. Tell your friends and family. Hit the likes and subscribe before you leave. And you've seen it here first at Center Ice Productions. Beautiful future for the Habs with this draft. Things are really coming along.